The
Pretty
government
clear so
has
far?
also taken various efforts in transitioning.
Oh, ooh. Hi, welcome back to another episode of Correct or Not. And I know it has been a long time since the last video, and I am so excited to be back. And today we will be doing a special video, and this video has been sent to me for my input. And some of you have asked, what is wrong with this video, what's going on, and I'm here to just share a little bit on today's speaker in the video. So this video is in no means to create any sort of negativity towards the speaker, but it is just for us to understand what we can learn from it and what she did well in her video, and how we can learn from what she did in the video in our own speeches. So with that, let's get on with the video.
Madam Chair, Excellency, distinguished delegates.
Okay, right off the bat, she says, Madam Chair, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. Now, it may sound a bit jarring, but one thing that we Malaysians tend to do is we tend to put S when there is no S's, and we tend to remove the sounds S when there are S sounds. So like the word excellencies should have C's at the end. And for the word distinguished guests, now there can be a bit of a challenge for this sound, distinguished, only because there is a ooish sound at the guish part. So this is not exactly a huge problem, but if you're not really pronouncing it correct, it can sound like how she said it, distinguished, gished. So it can sound a little jarring. So what you want to do is to have like the sound wish, W-I-S-H, and put distinct in the front. So distinguished delegates. So let's continue.
Allow me to begin by taking this opportunity to congratulate you.
And another thing, so similar to how we remove S into and add S's if we want to in our words, this word is also read as how it's spelled. So the word opportunity and congratulate. So opportunity and congratulate is spelled with a T, opportunity, and congratulate. So a lot of times we read it off as how it's said, congratulate, opportunity. So we want to change that and use the actual sound, which is a ch sound instead. Opportunity, chu. Congratulate, like this word Tuesday. So use the IPA to understand how it's really sounds.
And the Bureau in organizing this 59th session of the Commission on Social Development.
Development, and DEVELOPMENT is develop. So it has a short I sound at the beginning, develop instead of develop. So be careful on that as well. But so far, it's still pretty comprehensible and very understood. So let's keep moving.
As we step into the new year 2021 with new hopes of better beginning, the COVID-19 pandemic still hangs over us like a dark cloud.
So this part where she says, as we step into the new year 2021 with new hopes of a better beginning, it sounds a little bit choppy. Now, this is not so much of her error or her challenge, it is a challenge on the word itself. So for English, we have a lot of linking words. So we often link words to another to create a more smoother sound. So if we separate the word, as we step into the new year 2021 with new hopes of a better beginning, it can sound very jarring. So what helps is if we link them together. As we step into the new year, so it's almost like it's one word. As we step into the new year 2021 with hopes of a better beginning. So it's like a bounce, better beginning. So it sounds smoother, it sounds more fluent, so you want to try that at home. Just join some of the words together and it sounds more fluent.
21 with new hopes of better beginning. The COVID-19 pandemic still hangs over us like a dark cloud.
And I really like this part when she says the COVID-19 pandemic hangs over us like a dark cloud. So that tone right at the end really shows that it's bad, it's still over us, it's terrible, and she makes it sound like it's a close to the end of a sentence. So that's actually very well done.
Although government of the world no doubt are going out of their way to address the issue of health and safety, as well as taking the economy out of the doldrums, the fight against the virus remains a monumental challenge.
Okay, so this is the part where most people had an issue with this speech. So the statement here, or the script here is, although governments of the world, no doubt, are going out of their way to address the issues of health and safety, as well as taking the economy out of the doldrums, the fight against the virus remains a monumental challenge. Now, if you were to slow down the video and try that out yourself, you would feel that that was a mouthful as well. And even for me as a native English speaker, that was quite a bit of a mouthful. But I really like to support that she really did do her best and she did it with such poise. So good job on that. So let's break it down to see how we can make that sentence easier to say and a little bit smoother on the tongue. The first sentence that we got was, although governments of the world, no doubt. So when she said the word no doubt in there, it sounded like a mishmash of words. So what we want to do is to put emphasis in specific words. No doubt here is an emphasis word. So she's trying to emphasize that everyone everywhere, governments everywhere are doing their best without any doubt. So what you could do is to pause a little bit here and there to create emphasis in the word where it needs to be emphasized. So she could do, although, pause, governments of the world, pause, no doubt. That emphasis on no doubt suggests that something else is coming on later on and we should really pay attention. So although governments of the world, no doubt, are going out of their way to address the issues of health and safety. So she really puts a lot of emphasis in her facial expressions, so that actually helps us understand that it's not a bad thing and they're actually doing a lot. So how she could make the sound come out a bit smoother is to emphasize and pause a little bit more on specific parts, and that's when the tone of the speech comes out differently. Now, for the part where she says, address the issues of health and safety, that tone E really suggests that there is something else coming after that, and there is something else that we should wait for. And finally, she says, as well as taking the economy out of the doldrums, the fight against the virus remains a monumental challenge. Now, this one I just want to highlight on the word against and monumental challenge. So the word against, anytime a word ends with two consonants, is usually very challenging. So the word against is a very common word that we tend to mispronounce. So it's more to do with practice. So if you see a word that ends with two consonants, just go against. Try and practice that sound. Against. And at the same time, for monumental challenge. So the word monumental ends with a t-l sound with a challenge at the back. So when you have and ch right side by side, it can be difficult for the tongue to work out. So it's like monumental challenge. Your tongue is working too hard to get that word out. So what the Americans do is they have a different type of T sound, which is a tl. monumental challenge. It's almost like a D, but it's a T sound. So when you have that T sound, monumental challenge, the word rolls out of your mouth more smoothly. So if you want to check out more videos on the T sounds, check out our videos on T's, and you can come back and watch this later on. Okay, so let's get back to it.
Again, the virus remains a monumental challenge. This humanitarian crisis of unprecedented scale has led to many experiencing financial constraints due to the slowdown in economic
So far again,
leading to
very challenging words.
poverty and hardship, especially among those in the vulnerable group.
Adding S's, so
In
be careful.
addressing the socio-economic impacts of this pandemic, the Malaysian government has introduced several
Perfect. She said the word several. So that's pretty amazing. It may be something small for some people, but for me, as I've been teaching pronunciation for a while, several here, or the word several, oftentimes has been pronounced as several. So there are many ways people mispronounce this word, and I hardly hear people say it several right off the bat. So kudos to her. She did a great job there. Wonderful.
stimulus packages. The most recent is an assistance package valued at $3.7 billion, which aims to combat the COVID-19 outbreak, safeguard the welfare of the people, and support business continuity. The
Pretty
government
clear so
has
far.
also taken various efforts in transitioning.
Ooh, okay. That word can also be quite tough because it's again T to a sh to a n sound. So you'll notice that your tongue is working so hard. So the word transitioning, again, we look at it and it looks like an S sound, so we want to say transitioning. So what happens here is the S sound changes to a Z sound, a Z sound. So transitioning. So quite tough, but good job transitioning. So let's try that at home, and let's see what else you can do.
Towards the new normal in all aspects, which involve more dependency on digital technologies. It is crucial for the migration to the digital world to be inclusive and leave no one behind, as reflected in the priority theme for the 59 sessions. In ensuring
TH sounds are also very commonly mistaken. I think that's only because in Malaysia we hardly use that sound, and even in English we always have a the sound instead, more like a D sound. So something that we can all practice a little bit more is the voice TH, which is the, or the voiceless TH, which is the th, mother, and the, and smooth. So let's practice that. So you guys can check out other videos to see how you can practice that TH sounds, and try it at home.
a smooth transition, focus need to be on bridging the digital divide in areas such as internet and digital accessibility and affordability, as well as digital literacy.
Okay, so digital. So this has to do with a lot of emphasis and tone. Although it is still pronounced as digital in Bahasa or Bahasa Malaysia, the emphasis is actually placed on D. So it's digital. So the G here is a short I sound. Digital. Both of them are actually short I sounds. So instead of digital, is digital.
Application of technology can already be seen in the early response to the pandemic. In Malaysia, a dedicated platform has been used to collect information on COVID-19 patients. This platform was an essential tool in flattening the curve by managing the outbreak at an early stage. The use of COVID-19 apps.
Okay, so apps. This is a very small pet peeve of mine. So app refers to application and apps refer to applications. So they have plural and singular forms. App is for one, more than one apps. So oftentimes we often hear people say WhatsApps or what apps, or I'm using the apps. So apps refer to more than one. So you can say I have many apps on my phone, but I have one app. That one app is doing great for me. So be very careful on that singular and plural term, and it's WhatsApp, not WhatsApps.
But the general population also enables user to make self-harm assessment, be aware of what to do if affected, and where to get treatment. Other information made available are on the COVID-19 hotline number and visual health advisory that links user to medical video consultation.
So the word virtual is also a little bit difficult, but you want to go virtual. Again with the ch sound, not a t sound. So not virtual is virtual.
A lot of focus on to promote digital literacy among students and various groups. Malaysia currently has an effective online learning platform and based on Google's for education. This platform allows for school leaders to manage online teaching materials, structure and assessment. It also supports lifelong learning, is accessible at any time and self-equipping digital literacy skills as well as other digital competencies needed to be applied in the long run. Today, it's been used by over 1 million students and 287,000 teachers nationwide. Including Google's digital literacy, the world is one of the introduced this year covering 3 major aspects of digital literacy, which are literacy, understanding internet code, and some students. These initiatives is expected to benefit 30,000. Thomson is currently performing as teachers and community-based education centers to reach digital grant agencies among masters and community education programs, marketing skills, skills, knowledge of the software products, economic incentive made available to persons with disabilities. It's a digital entrepreneurship program.
So far it's been pretty good, but just want to highlight a few things like entrepreneurship. So in Bahasa, we don't have an sound. This comes from a French word, entrepreneurship. So this sound is, I believe would be in Arabic languages instead. So if you can get that inner sound, you get the entrepreneurship. So it's a French word, so you want to have that origin sound in it, entrepreneurship. So DATA, common debate, very, very common debate. Is it data or data? She says it correctly. It depends on where you are saying it from. So I believe that the British call them data and the Americans call them data. So depends on where you want to speak your slang. Data and data really depends on that. Alright, so that's it for the video. Overall, I believe that the video was very comprehensible, and yeah, there were a little bit of hiccups here and there in pronunciation, but I think she braved through it very confidently. But here are some of the things that we can learn from this video. So the first thing is we would like to always remember to read your script before your presentation. Reading your script before your presentation allows you to understand what are the challenging words that you have to pronounce and have to make it right. So if you have those words that you find challenging, kick them out or get your script writer to redo them. So for the rest of us, if you have any challenges with that, do it yourself or change it to another word that is easier. All right, tip number 2. Know your lazy sounds and learn linking words. So lazy sounds, as mentioned earlier, are the schwa sounds or the sounds. So in English, we have lazy sounds in syllables or in different parts of a word to help us prepare for the next word easier. So same thing with lazy sounds. So same thing with linking words. When we link words together, they sound more smooth, they sound more cohesive. So try and do some practicing and check out linking words, and you can find out how you can link words together to make them smoother. Now, tip number 3, intonation. Intonation is so important because intonation is a huge part of the English language. Intonation can trigger a beginning, a conclusion, a question, a conclusion. So intonations really help the audience or your listeners understand what part are you in your speech. So prepare your intonations, always make sure you know how to end it, close it, or spark a beginning of a statement. Tip number 4, learn the IPA. I cannot stress this enough. The IPA is a wonderful tool for you to find out and learn about the different sounds in the English language. So the funny thing is, the IPA is a beautiful thing because it doesn't only cover English, it covers all forms of language, even very obscure languages as well. So if you have the time, go and find out about IPA, or if you want to know more about IPA, drop it down in the comments and we'll get to it very quickly. And finally, tip number 5 is accents. Now, accents are great. Accents are a wonderful way of showing culture, is a great way to show where you came from, what is your background language, where did you learn your languages from. But accents are not mispronunciation. Mispronunciation is an error in pronouncing a certain word. But accents are mispronunciation due to your language. A lot of times, accents are mispronunciation is because their original language, you're not able to produce certain sounds. For example, the Japanese, they don't have an ending consonant sound other than the N sound. And let's take an example of the word pandemic. Pandemic. It ends with a K. Japanese don't have that. And the sound for pandemic. Japanese don't have an A sound either. How they will read this word will be pandemic. So they don't have those certain sounds. And because they don't have that, that's why their accents are there. It's not because of an intentional mispronunciation. They can't produce the words because it's not in their language. So that is what's the difference between accents and pronunciation. And for this case, in Bahasa Malaysia, we have a lot of sing-songy type of intonation, which explains the difference between her rise and fall of her intonation and sometimes may not blend so well in the English language. But overall, we are quite similar to English. And other than the sing-songy type of tone that we have, we want to implement it and tweak it just a little bit to fit into the English language. Overall, I really commend the effort of YB Datuk Seri Rina in going through the presentation, which has some profound script writing, and she did it with so much poise. But we can learn a lot from the presentation, and what we learn is that always remember and know what you're saying, learn your intonations, love your accents, and learn the IPA to help you pronounce words better. So that's it for today's video. If you like to watch more of these videos, click on the videos above and check out our playlist on different learning segments. Like this video, and if you want to know more about English pronunciation, click that subscribe button and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.